Welcome to the Fourth Step Podcast. On each episode, we interview recovering addicts and learn their story with addiction. Through exploring personal journeys, we get a glimpse of the depths addicts fall to and their path in recovery. We hope you enjoy the episode. Welcome to the Fourth Step Podcast. My name is Kevin, and I am an addict.
My name's Josh. I'm an addict as well.
Josh, the co-host. Usually, like when somebody says that at a meeting, everybody else will go, "Hi, Kevin," or "Hi, Josh."
Yeah, is that what you were looking for?
Yeah, we just
not today.
Always fuck that up. And with us today is our friend
Kerry, and I'm an addict.
Hello,
Hi, Kerry.
Kerry.
How are you?
I'm good today.
Got to make
Thank
sure
you.
the guest gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, quick shout out to a couple people. I mentioned last time that we have listeners in Australia, and I know that I butchered the town that our friend is from, so I apologize about that. And also, it's been a while, but Rhonda from San Jose was one of the first people to send in a message to us, so we wanted to give a shout out to Rhonda, which Kerry happens to know.
I do.
Other than that, we appreciate all the international listeners. We have England and Ireland and Australia, South America, which surprisingly, it's crazy that people outside of the United States listen
Wow.
to this. Yeah,
It's crazy that anybody listens, really.
Yeah, that's true. So, the premise. It's a 4-step podcast. We're going to ask you questions.
Sure.
And, you have to answer honestly, or this taser. We got a taser. We'll tase him if he lies.
So I have to tell the truth about everything.
Everything.
I
Yeah.
knew there was a catch.
Yeah, there is a catch.
It's a pleasure to have you, man. I really appreciate you coming out and
Thank you.
sharing your
It's
time
nice
with us.
meeting you.
Yeah,
it really
same.
is. I could tell you, good people.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, same.
So
Yeah, good energy.
We Josh and I, done some people from San Jose. Well, Steve and the Vickies, and the other Steve M2, Ray, like a lot of people from San Jose.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Josh knows a lot of those people as well because he's been working down there once in a while or come down with me. So it's kind of cool for him to get to know you too.
Yeah.
Cool. So we start off with what's your clean date and how many years you got clean?
So my clean date is February 10th, 1989. So that puts me at 36 years.
Shit, that's a long time.
It's a long time. It's decades.
You're considered an OG in a lot of circles.
When I got here, there were some real OGs,
Yeah.
that maybe only one or two are still alive,
Well, Buzz is still.
But I learned a lot from those guys, what I mean? And I try to pass some of that on,
Yeah, very nice. So, how'd you get started? What was your childhood like?
Childhood was good. I wish I could blame some things on that,
Yeah.
but
So
I
no
can't.
trauma?
no. My mom died when I was real young.
That's trauma.
Yeah. So, but I was only like 4 or 5. So
That's a good start.
Yeah.
So I grew up without a mom. It was my older brother, me, and my dad. And my dad never remarried. And I think that's because he wanted to, he didn't want any outside influence.
Raising you.
Yeah, he knew what he wanted, how he wanted to raise his boys. And he didn't want anybody interfering with that. That's what I think. He wouldn't even let us both ride in a friend's car together at the same time.
Wow.
Because, if they got in a wreck or one of us got killed, it wouldn't be both of us.
Yeah. So he's pretty protective.
He was protective. He was loving,
Mm-hmm.
Did that protection feel like control at any point?
Yeah, it had to,
Yeah.
It had to because we were young boys. You know how young boys are,
Did it cause any kind of rebellion from you or your brother? Did you guys rebel?
No.
That's cool.
I mean, no, not at all. My dad was stern, but I think he was fair, you know. And his two big things were education and sports. Like that's what he expected from us, and that's what he molded us towards. You know?
Well, I mean, that makes sense. Thinking about it, there was no social media, no internet. So it was like we went outside when we were kids.
Yeah.
I miss that, man.
Yeah.
Going
Just
outside.
how simple it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
simple.
I mean, I'd come home from school and go out and play baseball, you know, and like
Same.
wouldn't even watch TV, you know. So
Right, yeah.
sit down. Well, my dad didn't really want us watching TV until he got home, and then we'd watch a couple of whatever. But yeah, and he knew that was good for us, getting out and playing ball and doing stuff, because that's what he wanted us to do. You know?
So there's no abuse in your childhood?
None at all. My dad never hit us. I mean, he didn't need to. Like he was old school Depression guy. You know, he's a middleweight boxer. You know, and just like a look from him.
So you had a decent like sense of, I don't know if it was fear or respect for your dad?
Yeah, I think
A little bit of both, maybe?
A little bit of both. I was just
Yeah.
going to say that. Yeah.
Yeah. My dad was like old school, and except he would hit us, you know, talk back. You get backhanded across the mouth, like that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's fortunate that you didn't grow up with that kind of fear.
No, it was more like just a look, and then if it was something a little more egregious on me and my brother's part, we got like a little good talking to. When we got home, we got grounded. We got, you know, something like that, you know.
So looking back now, would you say that, you know, doing step work and putting pieces together, would you say that your mom passing away early had, you know, because you like grew up with friends that had moms?
Yeah, well, see, that was the thing. I grew up in Oklahoma. I didn't move out here to California until I was 15. And it was a great childhood. I mean, we could ride our bikes just outside town and be in the woods, you know, in the streams and the rivers. And but I didn't, well, what was the question?
About your mom.
Oh, yeah. So, you know what? I kind of hate to say it, but if I really thought about it and told the truth, like, I didn't feel like I missed her. Well, I didn't know her.
Right,
but,
yeah.
You know
How
what I
could
mean?
you miss her?
So it's hard to really miss somebody. But I do remember thinking a lot of times when I was a kid that, like, all my friends got moms and dads, because back in the 50s and 60s, like, people didn't get divorced.
No divorce.
They stayed, you know. And all my friends had moms and dads, you know. And I guess I missed it, you know. I guess I missed some of that, you know. But my dad was a loving guy, you know. I mean, he's Irish, you know. We kiss,
Yeah.
you know, we hug, you know. So
Definitely a different and or missing dynamic without mom there, though, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there was times when I think me especially, like, I'm a little more sensitive than my older brother. You know, he's a little more hardcore, like my dad. You
Yeah.
know, and I'm a little more sensitive, so I think I thought about it more. You know, that you know, it'd be nice to have a mom around and hug me or something. You know, but they were more or less like fleeting thoughts. Like, I didn't brood on it.
Right.
You know?
So
Did it stay that way? Did it always? You never really tripped on it too much, even as you got older?
No, never really did, except when I grew up and got married and started having kids, I was determined that my kids were going to have a mom and a dad at home all the time, you know.
wow, so it kind of did play a part.
Yes.
In
So,
some
you know,
aspects.
because I missed not having a mom at times.
All right, yeah.
You know,
Well, all right, so that's understandable.
yeah.
So your childhood sounds like it was pretty uneventful besides your mom.
It was, you know, like I said, it was education and sports. Like, with my dad, was really tough on education. Like, C's were on the report card were absolutely unacceptable.
No
Like, he
kidding.
got punished for it, you know.
Wow.
B's were you're not trying hard enough, and A's were expected. So I didn't get like $1 for every A I got, or something. I would get a attaboy, hey, that's a good looking report card, keep it up.
Wow.
But yeah, he was like that. Which, looking back, I'm actually glad, because it kept me in line during like high school.
Okay, yeah. So you could look back and you go, I could have gotten in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, and all through school, it was just like, it was easy for me. High school and everything was easy and just. Yeah,
That's pretty good.
I don't know why, but it just was. I don't remember stressing at all in high school.
Where's the first time you can look back and notice that you were an addict?
Well,
like when was the first time you got loaded, and what'd you use?
Okay, so
was there addict behavior before that too?
Yeah, right. Were you stealing cookies every day?
Yeah, there was some. Like my brother and I burglarized a couple of houses in a neighborhood in Oklahoma. And
what neighborhood? Where did you live in Oklahoma?
Muskogee.
Okay.
And we went in a couple of vacant houses, and we didn't take anything or do any damage or anything, but some neighbors saw us and told my dad, because everybody knows everybody in those days. And so we got, pretty harsh punishment for that, in the way of, you're not going anywhere for a month, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's not acceptable, But there weren't very many instances like that in my childhood. I think we were pretty well behaved boys for being boys, because we were boys. We were boisterous, So
where'd the drugs come in?
Well, I never used drugs or drank alcohol until I went into the Marine Corps, and that's where I learned to drink.
So you were a late bloomer then.
I was,
as far as we're concerned.
19, you know.
Yeah.
That's where I learned to drink and use drugs, and I took to it like a duck to water.
What was your job?
I was in supply.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you end up going? Did you right out of high school you went into the Marines?
I got drafted.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll happen.
I was doing a draft, so I got drafted. So I didn't have a choice, but honestly, I probably would have joined anyway.
Really? Where'd you end up at?
Well, I was all over. I was at Pendleton. I was at Camp Lejeune. I was at Okinawa. I was in Vietnam, and then back to Okinawa, and so all over the place.
So you saw action?
Well, no, because I was supply, right? And we were what they call TAD when we were in Vietnam, temporary assigned duty. So we weren't even getting it's like in the official records, like we weren't even there. So we didn't get combat pay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, nothing,
Huh.
But we would take convoys up to all the different outposts and stuff, And I did see some stuff, at one of the forward outposts that always stuck with me, and I see in my nightmares.
Some horrific shit?
Yeah.
Are you willing to share what that was, what you saw?
Probably not.
Okay.
To be honest with you, I've only told 5 people in my life,
It's a small circle.
Yeah, my wife, my former girlfriend, and the only reason I told her, and I have to give her credit, is, the whole time since I got out of the Marine Corps, I was having nightmares and panic attacks. And I think that part of my using was if I got drunk enough or high enough, I could pass out and I wouldn't have nightmares. And when I got with her, I was, and I would fight with myself at sleep, when I was sleeping and stuff, and she finally had enough. In fact, one time I accidentally hit her with my arm, and I felt so bad, and she goes you got to do something about this. So we went to my doctor, and he sent me to mental health. So I told her, I told my doctor, I told my mental health person, and I told my therapist, and I told Winnie. Those are the 5 people
That no.
that know, like the core of my PTSD,
Yeah. So it had to have been some heavy shit.
Yeah, and then there was some other stuff like back here in the States where I was physically assaulted, a few times, jumped really, on base by multiple guys and had broken cheekbones and broken noses and concussions and cracked ribs, and that happened a couple of times.
Damn. So you were how old?
19,
19,
20, 21.
Yeah. So that's pretty young. What kind of trouble were you getting into?
Well, the first time was in boot camp where the drill instructor, because in those days in Marine Corps boot camp, it's still tough, but they could hit you in those days and nobody,
Oh, no shit.
And they did. And he told us when we first got there, he's going, I'm going to kick every one of your asses. There was 72 of us before you leave here, So I don't know. Some of it's a little bit of a blow to me. I think that he was talking to us and he said something and I kind of giggled and he called me up in front and didn't say anything but just kicked me right in the
nuts?
Yeah. And I went down and then he hit me on the back of the neck. I almost passed out. And then he put me in this broom closet all day. Right?
You shit me.
And he would come by and pound on the door and say, you're going to die anyway in Vietnam. You might just die. Just horrible stuff, right?
That's some traumatic shit.
So he let me out. He let me out about 9 o'clock at night when lights went out. Dude. And I remember going to the bathroom and just sitting on the toilet, and my balls were swollen, the size of tennis balls, right? And but that made me more determined, right? Because every morning before breakfast, we would run 5 miles, right? So the next morning, some of the guys sympathized with me, I borrowed I put on 5 pair of underwear from some of the smaller guys in the platoon, so they'd be real tight. And I ran the next morning. I ran every day after that,
Just to prove to him that you can take it?
Yeah, you're not going to...
Intimidate me?
Yeah, well, you're not going to kick me out of here. And I'm going to finish. And you know what? I got a kind of grudging respect from him after that. He made me a squad leader and stuff,
Wow.
So, but that was, pretty traumatic. Then one time, then after boot camp, I went to the EM club, the Enlisted Men's Club, and pitchers of beer were $1. You could get
If you were
stinking ass.
If you were drafted, that's where you would go to the Enlisted Men's Club?
Yes, yeah.
Not the
They had an
officers'
officers club in Enlisted Men. So I got drunk and I got in a fight with the guy outside and I beat him up pretty bad. It was the Indian guy, Native American guy. So when I went back in the barracks that night, I got a blanket party with him and a few of his buddies, right? And I had a broken nose and a broken cheekbone, a concussion, some cracked ribs.
They bit the shit out of you.
Yeah, and I barely made it to my bunk, and then the sergeant of the barracks came by the next morning, and he saw me. I was all black and blue, and he said, "What happened?" I told him I fell down the stairs.
Uh-huh.
And he goes, I go, I think I need, because my ribs were really hurting, I go, I think I need to go to sick bay. And he goes, you're not going to nobody from my barracks goes to sick bay. He goes, take the day off and then get your ass back to work,
Brutal.
So that's what I did, right? Then one more time in the Marine Corps here in the States, I went on a drunken binge for 3 days. And I was...
On base?
No,
okay.
Left base. I
Okay.
was stationed in San Diego. Left base, drove to San Jose on a drunken binge, and some I don't know what else we had, some drugs. And at the third day, we got pulled over, and me and my friend, he's a Marine, they found out who we were, and we went to Moffett Field to the jail there, and then they said, we're going to take you to Treasure Island, which is the Navy brig.
Yeah.
Right? And I knew that at the Navy brigs, they had Marine guards, and I told my buddy, I go, we're like in for some shit, because they got Marines running that place, you know. So we got there on the bus, and we were chained, our wrist and our ankles, our manacles, and we were getting off the bus, and this little tiny, squeaky corporal was saying, line up, you know, march, 1, 2, and I told him, yeah, fuck you. I'm going to the brig, I ain't marching there, you know. So we all lined up against this canvas chain link fence with our nose, and I heard that little guy telling the sergeants, he goes, see that guy right there, Kelly? He's a smart ass. And they took me in this little, two of them, two big Marines, took me in this little broom closet and just beat on me for like 5 minutes, you know.
You just couldn't keep your mouth shut, huh?
Cracked some more ribs, broke my nose again, and, you know. And I barely made it inside, and I had my own cell, but the cell was all chain link, even on top, because they had catwalks on top where the guards could walk around and they could see in your, you know, in your cell. So I barely made it there. I was really hurting, and I started feeling like water. I go, this fucking place leaks too. And I look up, and those guards are pissing on me, you know. So I go,
What year was this?
1970. So I slept under the bunk that night so they couldn't pee on me, you know. And
that's back when they can get away with shit.
yeah.
Huh?
And I took my T-shirt and I tied it as tight as I could around my ribs, you know, to give me some relief. After 3 days, the doc came by, and I was still messed up. And I did go to sick bay, and they couldn't do much, but they...
Well, not with broken ribs, no.
Yeah, like treated me. So I was there for a couple of weeks, and then I went back to...
So this whole time you're in the Marines, you were drinking, and you said you were doing drugs too?
Oh, yeah.
What was the first drug?
Yeah.
Well, the first drug was on base at Pendleton, and I went straight to the vein. I shot speed.
The first time?
The first time.
You're like the second person that we've had on that's like their very first drug was shooting up.
So I did that a few times, and then I got transferred to Camp Lejeune.
So there was speed on base?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Lots of it, huh?
Oh, yeah. And...
were they drug testing at that point?
No.
That wasn't even a thing then, was it?
You know, there's no dogs going through the barracks or anything. No.
So it's a party.
Yeah, just do anything you want as long as you didn't get caught. You know?
Yeah, don't cause problems.
When I went to North Carolina at Camp Lejeune, I met a guy that was from New York City, and we used to swoop up to New York City on the weekends and buy $2 bags of heroin. That's where I got introduced to heroin.
How big is a $2 bag of heroin?
It was enough to get you really loaded.
Wow.
In those days. And so
Talk
we
about
do that.
inflation.
What's that?
Talk about inflation. What's it now?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
so we did that on the weekends, and then we'd come back and work, and we'd go up there. In the meantime, when we were back on base, we'd be at the EM club drinking, and so it was, that slowed down when I went to Okinawa and Vietnam. You know what I mean? Just because we couldn't, since we weren't supposed to be there officially, we weren't allowed off base. So.
You couldn't go out and get in trouble.
No, yeah, kind of, pretty much,
Huh.
But I would only be there for a week or so, and then come back, and then go again for 10 days and come back, and
And why was it so secret that you weren't supposed to be there if you were just
it wasn't
driving supplies?
Secretive. It was that basically they didn't want to pay you combat pay.
Oh. So it was some bullshit.
Yeah, and we were not combat troops, you know. So they just needed extra guys in supply is what it was. You know, we'd go over there and straighten out the warehouse.
Jeez. Wow, that's thanks, Uncle Sam.
Yeah, so when I got out, I just carried on from there, you know.
How long were you in the Marines for?
Almost 3 years. I got a 90-day early kick out, you know.
That was, you signed up for 3 years?
Yeah.
So you did your stint?
69, 70, 71.
So you didn't get dishonorably
No,
discharged?
I got an honorable discharge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you didn't cause
I
much wreckage.
I never did anything in their eyes to get it dishonorable.
Just
So
being
you-
drunk is...
I did my job, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The thing at where you went to Treasure Island was just, they were like, he was drunk, you know, did a couple weeks and then you were back at it?
Well, yeah, they sent me, from there they sent me back down to Pendleton. I had to go in front of the captain. They call it captain's mast. I had to go in front of the captain, and he said, I'm going to give you 45 days restriction to base. Like, you could come and go. No, nobody at the gate, you know, the guards at the gate, they're not going to check that.
Really?
Oh, let me see. Are you on any restriction or
Yeah.
anything? Nah. So it basically was no
A
punishment.
slap on the wrist.
Yeah. You know.
Yes. Definitely not like that today.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I even got promoted like right after that.
Well, that's a good Marine, you know. You just get drunk a couple times, go to the bed, come back out.
I was really good at my job,
Yeah.
so that was why.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, but this time you're still getting loaded when you get out?
Oh yeah, that's when I really started. You know, 'cause
You went
in
back,
there I
you
could
went, you went to San Jose when you got out?
Yes,
Okay.
Sunnyvale. That's where I grew up. Because
You're-
in the Marine Corps, I could only do it occasionally. You know, I
Uh-huh.
had to work during the week, during the day, during the week. You know.
You can't really get away with it then.
Yeah. When I got out, it was, you know, free reign.
Full blown.
Yeah, you know. But I still dabbled for a couple of years, experimented with different kind of drugs.
When you got out of the Marines?
Yeah.
So,
And back home, you know,
yeah.
speed, acid, heroin, whatever came along, right? Until I settled on, you know, heroin. And I remember the first time that I was strung out. I was doing heroin for about 10 days in a row. And then I stopped just because I didn't have any or something. And I got sick, like really super sick. And I called my homeboy and I go, man, I'm fucking sick, man. He goes, you're kicking. I go, what? He goes, yeah, you gotta have it.
You never heard of that
Yeah.
before?
No, I didn't know, you know. Well, I never paid attention if anybody said it. It never happened to me before, you know.
Yeah.
So after that, I was going to say I was more careful, but that wouldn't be true, you know. After that, I just kept myself supplied.
Made
So-
sure you had it, yeah. You were more careful not to run out.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and heroin became my main drug of choice, you know. I even pretty much dropped the alcohol and everything. You know?
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
So at that point you realize like you're full-fledged, you're in.
Yeah.
Huh.
And I didn't see any way out, and I didn't see any future for myself. I just lived for the day to score dope and get loaded.
Yeah, I remember that feeling.
Yeah.
That was me too. I mean, yeah.
It's
I have if the idea of getting loaded creeps in, that's like the thing that is at the forefront of like my defenses for any kind of like romanticizing of the thought.
Yes.
Is remembering like that feeling of like, this is it, dude. This is all you're ever gonna do. This is you're gonna die doing this.
Exactly.
Like just accepting that fate, that feeling that creates for me is enough for me usually to be like, wow, what the fuck? No way, dude.
No,
I don't want to go back there.
100%. That's how I thought this is this is me. This is my life.
Yeah.
This is how it's going to be.
I won't make it. I won't make it very long. I'll probably die before I'm 30. That was, yeah.
And the thing, I ran with a pretty violent crowd. And we robbed people at gunpoint, and I've been shot at, I've been stabbed, and all that stuff during my using.
Did you kind of stick with Marines when you got out? Did you hang out with you just fell in wherever?
I just hung out with
the
guys,
addicts in San Jose.
Yeah.
In Sunnyvale. Basically, there were guys that I grew up with and went to school with, and I came back home, and they were heroin addicts too.
Huh.
You know what I mean? So I just fell right in with them.
Go time.
Yeah.
So I know a little bit about your story. So, like, committing all those crimes, how did you eventually end up catching a case?
Well,
was it a long period of using until that happened?
Yes, there was, and I thought like I was kind of invincible to any kind of like justice, and but then I started building a little resume with the police, right? Petty theft and business burglary and minor possession, and so the and I think I did 6 months in the county jail, and I was on probation, and so I was on probation, and I was walking home one night, and I was a thief,
Okay.
and before that I was supposed to report to court. They let me go. I was supposed to report back in 2 weeks and turn myself in to do 6 months. And I told him, catch me when, all I got to do is 6 months, so catch me when you catch me, what I mean? And the worst that's going to happen is 6 months.
So you got a failure to appear in a bench warrant?
Yeah, but so I was walking home one night, and there was this, it was a little Volkswagen, and the windows were open, and there was like a little toolbox. It was really like, a tackle box, like for fishing. Mm-hmm. That's what it looked like. And I grabbed it, right, and took it home, and there was like a pair of pliers, and there was maybe $10 worth of tools in there.
Right.
And so then a couple of days later, the cops raided my place looking for me to serve that warrant, right? So they came in, and they were supposed to just have a warrant, an arrest warrant, not a search warrant, right? But I found out that if they see anything, like a bag of dope sitting while they're in with the arrest, they can, So the one cop sees this little tackle box, and the freaking guy who owned it, $10 worth, wrote his name on it and reported it stolen.
You're kidding.
Yeah. So I got possession of stolen property, and they gave me 3 years.
Jesus.
So
that's kind of a lot for simple possession of stolen property.
Like I said,
they were trying to stick him with anything because of the track record.
Right.
Yeah.
I was building up a resume with the police, so they finally found.
They're just like, we're tired of this shit.
Right. They finally found something that could
while.
actually send me to prison for, and it didn't take much in those days.
What year was it?
That was 82, first time.
Where was reception then?
Say it again?
Reception. Where was reception then?
It was at Vacaville. Yeah. Green side, the blue side. I'll tell you a quick story about that. Pulled up to Vacaville, and, they have 3 tiers. It's an old, prison. And I was on the green side, which means you're going to get evaluated to find out where you're going to go.
Okay.
And I was on the 3rd deck, and you would come out for dinner. You had to come out, you had to stand at the rail until they told you to come down. So I came out, and I was standing on the rail, and the guy next to me, I don't know how we got to talking, but he was from Los Gatos, and I go, oh, I'm from Sunnyvale, like stuff. And he goes, yeah, I know some guys from Sunnyvale. We were just talking, like homeboys. Like I was kind of glad to
you knew
see somebody. I didn't know him, but I was kind of glad to see somebody from where I was from, right? So I go down to Chow, and there was another homeboy that I did know and I used with. He wasn't in my cell, but he was at Chow. And he goes, hey man, don't be talking to that dude, you know. I go, what are you talking about? He says, like a nice guy. He goes, he's the guy who killed his wife and cut his head off and kept it in his refrigerator for a year.
Wow.
And I go, okay, I'm not talking to him anymore. So.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I got farmed out from there, you know.
Where'd you end up?
Well, I ended up at CRC down south. Did most of that 3 years because I'd get write-ups for stupid little stuff.
Was that the did they have the I might be mistaking the name, but is that where they had the drug program, the treatment?
They had N numbers. At first they gave me an N number.
Okay.
Right? And I still had to do most of the 3 years because I was sentenced to that. But then they let me go, and I had a parole officer. And, you know, in those days, they were building all these prisons, brand new prisons in California. They built like 12 brand new prisons, right? And they wanted to fill them, you know. So I would get out, I'd come home, and this went on for 7 years. I'd give a dirty test and go back for a 90-day dry out. I had a petty theft, and I went back for a year violation. I had a was under the influence, and I went back for 6 months.
So you did the whole revolving door.
I was bouncing back and forth. I don't think during that 7-year span, 7 or 8 years from 82 to 89 when I got clean, that I was out not even a year out of those 7 or 8 years, you know, because they would, at the drop of a hat, they would, you know. And I don't know if I told you, if I mentioned it, but so when I'll tell you how I got clean, but anyway, I'll tell you this first. I was going to meetings, and I had about 6 months clean.
When was this?
This was in 89.
Okay.
I had about 6 months clean.
So this is when you got clean. You're already clean at this point.
Yes.
Okay.
And I only had, when I got out the last time, I only had 8 months. By the way, they had dropped my N number and gave me a D number and sent me to San Quentin. That's where I got out of.
Because of all the back and forth.
Yeah, because all the violations. Like
I'm sorry. What's the difference between an N number and a D number? So a lot of people won't know what that means.
Well, an N number is a narcotics number, which means if you went down there and you programmed for like 8 months, you could actually get out. And
balance suspended.
Yeah, and you would be on parole, but if you minded yourself, that would be the only time you would do.
That'd be the end of your sentence.
But I couldn't do that, right? So I had about 6 months clean. I had the same PO, and he came over to my house. I was living in my sister-in-law's garage, and he pounded on the door Saturday morning, 8 o'clock, and I was still sleeping. I answered the door, and he had a bottle, and he goes, "I want a bottle," you know. I go, okay, you know. So I went and gave him the bottle. I gave it to him, and he goes, "Is this clean?" And I go, "Yeah, it's clean." He goes, "Remember, this guy's been my PO for like almost 8 years, right?" He goes, "I don't know how you're doing it, Kelly, but I'm going to find out."
Oh, because you've been giving clean tests for so long? And
yeah, I'd given dirty tests for, you know.
Yeah.
Well, no, before the 6 months, I was dirty test all the time, so.
Did he know anything about recovery? Or?
Well, no. So then I had to go in monthly. So next time I went in the parole office, he called me behind the glass to his office. And he goes, "What's going on with you, Kelly?" He goes, "I know you, man. Like, what are you up to?" You know?
He thought you were cheating.
And I go, nothing, man. I go, I got a job. I got a little job. And he goes, how come you give me clean tests? And I go, because I'm not using. And he goes, are you going to those classes or something? And I go,
meetings.
yeah, I am. But, I was real short with him because I was still in that he's a cop and I don't talk to cops,
Right.
So I said the minimum. Yeah, I am, And he was like, okay, keep it up, which really meant I don't care that much, but you're one more knucklehead I don't have to worry about on my caseload.
Right.
And then I got off parole a few months later,
That's good. So were you getting loaded in prison too?
I didn't get loaded when I was locked up. I smoked pot a couple of times, and that was it. And that was because two reasons. One, I wanted to get healthy, so I lift weights and run, and play softball, and because I knew I was going to go on a run when I got out, so I wanted to be kind of healthy to go on this run,
I was. Just imagine that looking
like
back.
Like you said, I was determined that was my life.
Looking back and thinking that whole thought process.
Yeah,
that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it is. Only addicts can relate to that kind of crazy.
Yeah, I'm gonna have such a good run when I get out of here.
Yeah. So I want to get healthy. The other reason is I didn't want to get caught in a cross. I've seen too many guys, well, you buy some dope for this guy, but then you owe that guy.
Yeah.
And I've seen too many guys get in trouble like that and get stabbed and stuff. So I just didn't do it. I just waited till I got out.
Okay.
I was nice and healthy, ready for another run.
So did you see any crazy shit inside?
Stabbings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but no riots. I mean, how many? You were at quite a few different places too, huh?
Yeah. I was at like 4 different prisons. Stabbings, beatings,
The usual.
Yeah.
So when you got out, did you start getting clean right away?
You know what happened the last time? It was under the influence, and I was strung out like a dog, and my PO was giving me a 10-month violation. And I was at the county jail just waiting to go back. That was like my life at those days. Like, I was in the county jail already, and I couldn't wait to get back to prison. You know what I mean? To get out of there. So I do want to stop for a second and say, during this time, my wife's an addict also, the lady I'm married to, and we had 4 kids, and she was when
did all that happen? When did the wife and the kids come into play? What time?
Her and I used together for 13 or 14 years before I got clean. So we had a few kids, and then the last time that I went to prison in violation, and she was doing a 3-year hits for possession.
And you guys already had kids together at that time?
3, and then she was pregnant when she got to 3 years.
Yeah.
So she ended up in prison. So when I got out
in '89,
she was in prison, and my kids were in foster care.
Got it.
Right? And but before that, when I was sitting in the county jail to do that 10-month violation, which ended up being the last time I was in jail, I heard over the loudspeaker, Kelly, you got a visitor. And I was thinking, like, no, nobody visits me. Who can this be, right? So I get up, and I was kicking bad, and kind of dragged myself in this interview room, and the lady from CPS who was in charge of my kids was there. She was all nice and proper, dressed in business suit, had a briefcase. And I kind of shuffled in, and I was looking towards the chair, and she goes, don't even bother sitting down. She goes, you're the worst father I've ever seen in my life. And if I got anything to do with it, you'll never get your kids back. And she picked up a briefcase and walked out. I heard that every single night of those 10 months.
That's brutal.
Yeah. And I know that lady has no idea, but she spurred me on to recovery.
No kidding.
I said, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it to myself. I can't do it to my kids. Because, during all that time, like, we had kids, and me and my wife were strung out. And if we had $20, we went and got well. And the kids had oatmeal for dinner. It's shameful for me to say that, but that's the truth.
I mean, that's the story for a lot of us.
Yeah. So, we came first and the kids came second, you know, and I've heard people say that, and me too, and I love my kids, you know what I mean? But I don't know what kind of love was that, you know what I mean?
No, you were an addict first.
Yeah.
But that's kind of cool that you, your kids were the driving force to get you clean.
My kids and that lady.
Yeah. I can relate because I got clean in '86 for my oldest son. I didn't want him to see me either dead or in prison. So I can relate to that.
There are motivators.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you got out, that was
by hard lessons learned, but there are motivators,
So you and your wife were finishing up prison terms, and when you get out, you wanted to get clean for your kids?
Yes, and I wanted to be clean for her too, because they told me, I think I went to meetings for I know I did. I went to a bunch of meetings for a couple months, almost every day, and then I went to the CPS lady, and I was getting the meetings written down on a sheet.
You slip signed?
Yeah, and I showed it to her, and I go, look, I've been, can I get my kids back now? And she laughed at me, and she's like, no, you don't get it. Like, it's going to be like a 2-year process.
Mm-hmm.
You have to take 5 different classes that we require. Kids are special, anger management, all these, I can't even remember them all. There was 5 of them, And I'm, right off the bat, got a couple months clean. I'm thinking, why do I got to do this? My wife should be, it's her fault too. She should be here doing this with me, and she's in prison having a good time, and I'm out here, having to go.
Thought.
I'm out here having to go to these classes, So anyway, I got off parole. I was going to class. I was going to meetings. I was staying clean. I wasn't doing anything in meetings. I wasn't doing anything.
No sponsor, no step work.
No, right. I was just abstinent. But I knew that I had to do this. Like, one slip up. Now I had CPS and parole on me. I knew one slip up and it was over. So I did the minimum, like we do, you know what I mean? And my wife got out, and I was clean, and she had stayed clean because she was, actually my youngest daughter was born in Riverside General Hospital because my wife was in prison at CIW down south. And 3 days later they came and took my daughter, put her with the other kids,
Wow.
Yeah, so... and my last 2 kids, I was locked up when they were born, so.
Did all your kids end up in the same place?
Yes, yeah.
In foster care?
Yeah.
Oh.
So
I guess they kept them together.
Yeah. So, anyway, we started doing those classes, her and I, you know what I mean? And she was never really big on the meeting things. Like I was, not that I was big on it, but she wasn't going to as many meetings as me.
Mm-hmm.
She was just not taking anything. And we did all the classes, and after 2 years, they gave us all 4 kids back.
So you jumped through all the hoops?
Jumped through all the hoops, and I had a big revelation at that point was, wow, I got 2 years clean, and wow, I got my kids back. Because, my whole life after the Marine Corps, my whole using life was a fast starter and a non-finisher.
Mm-hmm.
That went with jobs, that went with relationships. I could never finish, because of my using. So I just finished like 5 classes and stayed clean, and
All of a
in
sudden, you had 2
clean.
years?
And I had a good job, and I had an apartment for the kids, and I had a car, And the revelation was, this is, like, really works. You know what I mean? Like, I've been kind of semi-denying it, Because my original intention was to get the kids back and then just kind of go do my thing, but temper it down. You know what I mean? I'd be off parole and stuff, so
Right.
nobody'd be on my ass. You know what I mean? But
You're going to be a weekend warrior.
I started to enjoy the meetings. I started to enjoy all the people I met
After
here.
2 years, you're going to make some friends there, right?
Yes, friends that when I first got clean, guys. The men's meeting was my home group, the big men's meeting, and in those days in San Jose, there's probably only about 10 meetings. So
a week?
Yeah. So you saw everybody at every meeting. So the guys when I first got clean would come and pick me up for a meeting, Sometimes they'd take me out for coffee. Sometimes they'd even take me out for dinner afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
So it just grew on that. Like, people were nice to me, and then I started feeling like I'm a nicer guy, I'm being nice to them, and I'm emulating them in some ways, like a couple of newcomers, I talked to and stuff, I didn't dare sponsor anybody yet because I hadn't done, So I got a sponsor, and it was a guy that I used with briefly, and he got locked up, so just go on. And I got here, and the word on the streets was like, "Have you seen Chuck?" I asked a couple, "Have you seen Chuck?" Because I haven't seen him in about 6 years. And they go, "Nah, he's probably doing," because he was a convict too. He's probably doing all day, or maybe he's dead, I get to the program, and he's got 6 years clean.
Wow.
And it's just like, it boggled my mind, you know what I mean? Because I knew him, I knew how he used.
And that guy got clean?
Yeah, he used like me, He had 6 years clean. So I asked him to be my sponsor. And he said, yeah, but on 3 conditions, and I still use those with my sponsees today. You go to meetings, you work the steps, and you get into service. And I tell anyone who asks me to be the sponsor nowadays that those 3 are non-negotiable,
Go to meetings, work the steps, and
get
be
into
of service.
right? So I said, okay, And I did have a little service commitment and a literature committee, and then actually had a secretary of a meeting, And so it was time to work the steps, right? I knew about the steps, but I never really delved into them.
Is this after 2 years?
Yes. Yeah.
So 2 years, no sponsor, no steps.
I told you, slow starter. So the first round of steps, Chuck was the kind of guy who didn't push me.
Yeah, he wasn't a babysitter?
No. So he told me what I should do, and then just let me do it in my own time if I wanted to, Went through the whole steps and read it with him.
How'd you do them? How'd you do your steps? Was it like old school 3 columns and?
It was read out the basic text and just writing pages, you know.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he told you to write down your resentments, your fears,
Yeah,
all that stuff.
You know, as those steps came, like he started me out with, you know, willingness and, you know, believing that I can't use drugs again. I'm unmanageable and powerless. You know, first step stuff, right? And
Yeah, I misspoke. I was curious about your 4-step. Like they didn't have a working guide then. They didn't have any
No.
worksheets or nothing. And I remember at that time that when we were getting clean, they were using the columns out of the big book AA.
Right, but no, they had, you know, they had come out with our basic text, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I would read the first step in there, and I did the first 3 steps. It was kind of like I said at the meeting last night. It was not very good. It was incomplete. It was,
Yeah.
you know, it was ignorance on my part because I didn't really know. And I remember I did my 4th step, and I was all proud of myself, you know what I mean? Because I got into the 4th step, and I was going to read it to my sponsor, you know. And so we sat down, and I read it to him, and he said something, and I said, "Oh, thank you." And he goes, "What do you mean?" And I go, "Didn't you just say I've come a long way?" And he said, "No, I said you got a long way to go."
Yeah.
And so that whole round of steps was, I think I mentioned this in the meeting last night too, when I went back and looked at them, you know, a couple of years later after I'd done them again, I was pretty much the victim. And
Right.
I was a victim of circumstances. I was
When
a
you were
victim
sharing
of-
last night,
Yeah.
when you were talking about that, I was thinking in my head, I was thinking, well, it also says that we do them to the best. We work the steps to the best of our ability, and I remember when I was new, I worked the steps to the best of my ability. I didn't put everything down. I kept secrets.
Yeah.
You know, but I put as much as I could.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that was the same for you.
It was. I gave it the old college try.
Right.
You know
To
what
the
I mean?
best of your ability.
Yeah, the first time, you know. But I knew, you know what I mean? I knew
That there was some stuff.
Yeah, a lot of stuff, you know what I mean? So Chuck was my sponsor for my first 16 years of recovery.
That's a long time.
He passed away, yeah, you know. And good man.
Yeah.
Understanding, gentle, big guy, big gentle giant, you know. He was on the president of the Alano Club in San Jose, you know. Everybody knew him, everybody respected him, everybody liked him, you know.
That's good.
Yeah, good guy. You know, I was very, very lucky to have him as the first sponsor to guide me through. So I did the steps in those 16 years. And at least 4 times with him, at least, you know.
Yeah.
And it got better, you know what I mean? He gently guided me to be more honest, to let out some of those secrets you just talking about, and assured me that it's not going to go past him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Were you still like raising your kids at this time?
Yes.
Was it getting better with the kids? Like after you worked some steps?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, definitely, you know. I was definitely more patient with my kids. Like the first couple of years or the first year or so, whatever, couple of years that I had the kids back, they were still small. They were from like 1 year to, I think Adam was 10 or something. I didn't know how to be a father, a good father, even though I had a good father, right? Circumstances were different, you know. My dad wasn't strung out. He wasn't married to an addict and, you know, all this other stuff. But anyway, I did try and apply some of that stuff to my kids. You know, I tried to pass that on to them, you know. Sports and education and love. You know, I made sure I hugged them and kissed them, and I never laid a hand on them as far as, you know, discipline. But But it started getting a little easier, in part because they started getting a little older, you know.
Yeah.
And
Did you take them to meetings with you?
yeah, the little ones we would. And in those days, you know, there was no headphones and iPads for them to, you know. So if they got a little antsy, you'd go in the back of the room and sit with them for a minute, or one of the ladies from the meeting would come back and help you, you know. Like, there's always somebody around to help
Yeah.
in meetings, you know. Like, I love that part, you know. And it made me want to help other people, you know. Like,
I like that. Paying forward.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And of course, service was a big way of doing it, I learned.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a lot of background for you, and we've got some questions, like 4-step questions to ask, and we kind of already went through some of these. Like, you don't really feel that you were ever abused as a kid. No real childhood trauma except for the fact that you lost your mom when you were, you know, and you had to grow up without a mom.
Mm-hmm.
When you got to NA, what was your like biggest fear? We'll talk about fears. Like, when you first got clean, what was your biggest fear? Do you remember?
Well, I imagine there was a couple that I would call the biggest. One was that I would relapse, you know. 2 was that how is my marriage going to go now that we're both clean? You know, because I noticed like the dynamics in the marriage were changed after we got clean, because we used together, her and I, for like 13 years. And when we got clean, it was a different dynamic, you know what I mean? And also my fears were I wouldn't be a good enough father to those kids. And I really, really, really wanted to be, but I didn't know if I was capable of it. So
Because of your history?
Some of those would keep me up at night sometimes, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. What about any fears today?
Today, it's still, I would say, and my wife and I both, but me, I would say that my life centers around family. Like 80% of my life centers around my kids and my grandkids, and I got a bunch of kids and I got a bunch of grandkids, and so there's a lot to keep me busy with them, you know. And the other part is getting you know, because I
What was the fear there around the kids?
well, my kids, when I was earlier in recovery, was that I wasn't going to be a good dad, you know, because I did have my dad that modeled it, which I was very grateful for, but my life after that was nothing like my dad's.
Right. Well, your track record.
I was a dope fiend, you know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
And I pretty much forsake fatherhood in favor of my using, even though I had kids, you know. So I was afraid that I wasn't going to be a good dad, that my kids would be drug addicts or something.
And you still feel like that today?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't, because I think I've done a pretty good job with my kids.
You got
know.
great kids.
My boys are good fathers, they're good husbands, they're good good dads. They're loving with their kids. They don't spank their kids. They don't, you know. And my sons are successful, you know, and I'd like to think that I taught them all that, you know what I mean? Like I modeled it for them, you know, through this program and through my work ethic, you know, because they all have really good work ethic.
Your daughter.
And my daughter, well, 2 daughters.
Two daughters.
My oldest one is the star of the family, you know. You know, I mean, she's the only one that has a college education.
Oh, okay.
out of 6 kids, you know.
Yeah.
And,
you know.
And my youngest daughter has a really good job, and she just is the father of a 2-year-old, her first child.
Mother
you know.
of the 2-year-old?
Yeah, great mom, you know. So I ended up doing okay in that department, you know, even
I
though
would
I
say
had
you
a lot of
do
fears.
more than okay. I know your
Yeah,
kids, and
yeah.
like, I like your kids.
Yeah, I had a lot of fears earlier in recovery
Yeah.
about that, you know.
All right.
And just like our recovery, you just work at it and do the best you can with what you're learning, you know. Like I would watch like Steve M and Steve B, you know. When I got here, I wanted to be a good dad and I wanted to be a good husband, and I would watch those guys because they were what I wanted to be, right? And I'd even talk to them sometimes, you know, and get some good advice, you know what I mean? Like, you know, Steve M told me, like, know when to back off, like, from an argument with your wife or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, ask yourself, is it really that important that I win this argument? You know what I mean? Or can I back off and revisit it later or let it go? You know? Stuff like that, you know, like I actively sought out ways and means to be a good dad and a good husband, you know.
Yeah. Well, he's a good role model. Yeah. I
I didn't even get to know him that well, and I miss him.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's a good dude.
what a guy.
I would. I mean, you know, nothing against my dad. Did the best he could. He had a shitty childhood, also. You know, but the time period that I had with Steve M as my sponsor, he was the dad that I wish I grew up with. You know, he was just down to earth and common sense and like very authentic.
So real.
Objective experience.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, exactly.
What other fears today? Was there fears today that you were able to? Did we get to any that are current today? Like, what kind of fear do you deal with today?
You know, I'm pretty content, except a couple things, right? Maybe a few things. One is I still have PTSD, and occasionally I still have nightmares and panic attacks.
You do, huh?
Yeah, but through 8 years of therapy and marrying my wife is, you know, because my previous girlfriend was a wildfire, you know.
Yeah.
And
You could say that.
It would, yeah, and it would. I would have a lot with Winnie. I noticed that I don't have that often, and through the therapy, I'm able to deal with it better, you know. And my other fears are, I don't know if there's fears, but you know, I've worked since I was 14 years old, you know, and I painted for 45 years. 30 of them was with my own company. And I still am having, at first I had a really hard time retiring, you know. When I retired and I gave my company to one of my sons. And it was really tough retiring and not being in charge, you know, because I was the boss for 30 years, you
Yeah.
know. And
I remember when you were going through that.
yeah, and the other thing was I loved what I did, you know what I mean? Like for 45 years, I did what I loved and I called it work, you know, and I missed that, you know. So, you know, as soon as I moved to Florida, I painted the whole place, of course. As soon as I moved in with Winnie, I painted the whole place, of course. You know.
So the company you're okay with now, your boy has it, and
He's doing a great job.
yeah. So no fear anymore there.
No, he's doing a great job. I just, you know, like I'm still struggling with getting older, only in the in the respect that I'm not able to do things that I used to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as far as getting older and being the patriarch of this big family, I like that part. And getting older doesn't scare me. I you know.
He's the shot caller of the
Yeah,
the
I mean, you know, I
family.
got 6 kids and 16 grandkids, and then Winnie has 3 kids and 6 grandkids. So, you know, there's
That's a
31 of
big
us now.
family.
Yeah, there's 31 of us just, you know, and
That's a lot.
yeah. So that's why I said, like, my main focus, my main attention, 80% is probably on family today. You know what I mean?
So I have a
Luckily, I
question.
don't have to put out, like, a lot of fires. Like,
Yeah.
everybody kind of gets along, you know what I mean? Which is somewhat miraculous when you're putting 30 people together, both young and old.
You've had some health scares though,
I have.
and
I
so
have.
tell us about the fears around that.
Well, directly related to my using the hepatitis C and the cirrhosis of my liver.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through the hep C treatment. I was undetectable, and I have been for 16 years or whatever.
Which treatment did you do? Was it the
What-
interferon?
I did the old interferon where you had to inject
Oh, yeah,
yourself.
yeah, yeah.
Like they would give an addict 30 needles at the beginning of every month.
Wow.
And I had to inject myself like every day, you know. But I was past that. I had 10, 12 years clean or something when I, you know, so it didn't really bother me. So got rid of that hep C when I was my early 50s. No problem. I was still playing league softball. I was still working every day, and no problems at all.
So you had cirrhosis of the liver?
Cirrhosis, definitely, you know, from the hep C.
Mm-hmm.
So in the last few years, my liver started acting up. I had a tumor, cancerous tumor in my liver, and they blasted it with chemo. There's no follow-up or nothing. It was one blast, and it was gone. And I was cool after that. And then I got another cancerous tumor, bigger, in my liver, and they blasted it. What the doctor said was I had to give it a super shot. He called it a super shot of radiation this time, not chemo.
Oh.
And got rid of it, killed the tumor's gone, but the after effects stayed with me for over a year, and that was just lethargy, weight loss.
Yeah. He looked bad, dude.
Yeah.
Like bad.
Yeah, a feeling of just being sick, and I don't like that because I've never really been sick, you know.
Yeah.
And
You're healthy today?
yeah, so they ended up doing, I was collecting water in my legs, my ankles, and there's a sac back here over your lungs. I was collecting water. My liver was dumping fluid into. So he did this kind of a bypass where the fluid goes into my intestine and then in my bladder and then out, right? And ever since I had that, like I gained 20 pounds back.
That's awesome, yeah.
Where I want to be, and I'm working me and my son doing side jobs, painting, and I'm working around the house, and I'm playing golf, and I'm going to the gym, and I feel
That's great.
you know.
You're not allowed on the ladder anymore, though.
Maybe like a 2-foot ladder.
He's on restriction.
Step stool. They call that a step stool.
Yeah, that one in the bathroom right there was
Yeah.
about my limit.
That's funny. So like your fears of health, you had stones too, like forever.
I've had 26 kidney stone operations.
26.
Operations?
Where they put you out and they go up in you and they blast them and pull them out.
Holy shit.
That's what I said.
Under general anesthesia, you know.
26 times?
Very painful afterwards
Good
because
Lord,
you're
dude.
peeing blood for about a week. You know? There's a stent. They leave a stent inside you for a week so your urethra doesn't collapse, you know, from them
Jesus.
going up there, you know. They've been up there so time. My urethra must look like the Lincoln Tunnel or something. It's gotta be.
They've left tracks behind.
Yeah.
Right.
There's just a
bus.
There's tire tracks.
There is. There's treads.
Dude, so, but you passed like how many
I
stones?
passed like well over 200 stones with.
Oh, that's insane. My dad used to get kidney stones, and he said it's the worst pain he's ever experienced.
They run in my family. My dad had them. My brother has them. Both my brothers. My oldest daughter, Gretchen, had them, and she told me that the pain was worse than childbirth for her.
Oh, that's brutal.
I've been in the fetal position, throwing up from the pain, and just
I don't want any of that.
Yeah, no, and I've been on a run for about 3 years, which is almost a record for me with no operation.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and it's probably because the liver doctor wants me to drink copious amounts of water or fluid or Gatorade or whatever.
Yeah.
So that I think that keeps
Keeps
the
it
stones
flushed.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, if you do get them built up, they pass
Because
before they
I
get too
would
big.
work, outside in the hot sun and not even drink, for 4 hours. Not even have
Yeah, that's
bottle of
brutal.
water.
Were you a big soda drinker?
Not big. No.
Okay.
So no more fears today, really.
About kidney stones?
No, just about you're pretty good with where you're at today.
I am. I'm good with my health. I think until the day I die, I will always wait for that other kidney stone shoe to drop, because that could happen, But I don't dwell on it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no fear of any more cancerous
No,
tumors.
Having fucking 26.
No, and I
of them.
had another cancerous tumor, and after he did that shunt, that bypass I told you about, the tumor disappeared.
Really?
Yeah, so my liver doctor was really happy about that,
Oh,
and
that's
so was
cool.
I.
All right, so we got fears, and so we'll go to resentment. So what resentment did you carry for a very long time that you've overcome today? I'm sure there or more than one.
Well, the biggest one was after my wife and I told you we stayed clean for 2 years and got the kids back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after that, I continued with my recovery, and she started using. And for the next 20 years, she was chipping, and I was clean. Right?
Did you know?
She didn't throw it in my face, but I'm a dope fiend, so
Yeah.
I would know. And I know she didn't use to the point of being strung out, because she didn't do it every day, But she would, pills, heroin, alcohol, she was big on pills for quite a while, quite a number of years, right?
And she was hiding it from you?
Yeah, well, she thought she was, and she was for the most part. But it's like I told Jen. I don't know if you're in the kitchen this morning. I came home one time and she was passed out on the bed with a needle hanging out of her.
Oh,
arm,
yeah, that's a clear indication that she was
I had about
loaded.
9 years clean at that time, and I pulled the needle out of her arm, and it still had dope in it. You know what I mean? And my first thought was, you want to use? I'll fucking show you how to use. You know what I mean? And
Ugh.
I was this far from doing it, and I ran in the bathroom and flushed the whole thing.
Good for you.
So I that happened a couple times when she was passed out. And
So the resentment was with her?
well, yeah, because see, and this goes back to my childhood. I didn't want my kids to grow up without a mom and dad, right? Even though I don't think the kids, they had an inkling, I think, that their mom was using during all that time, but the kids are busy doing, I knew, and we ended up really living separate lives in the same house, but my resentments were during that time, and then afterwards until I really worked on them. One, that she was using, you know, and two, that she wasn't holding up her end of
The bargain, yeah.
raising the kids. Like I took them, all of them, to practice. You know what I mean? I took, my daughter to softball and dance class, and I went to all their games, you know what I mean? Basketball and softball and baseball, and I went to all the PTA meetings, and I pretty much did everything that a couple would do, but she wasn't there.
So the resentment was because she wasn't participating in raising kids?
Yeah.
How long did you stay in that cycle, like that loop with her?
Well, for 20 years.
Did you ever have any resentment towards yourself for trying to stick it out too long?
Well, yeah. And I just kind of, in my own mind, worked that out, that, like, I'm doing my thing and she's doing hers, and there's nothing I could do to change. I'm not going to change my recovery, She could change if she wants to, but she doesn't seem to want to, And, but like I said, I was determined that my kids would have a mom and a dad. So the last kid moved out, and right after that I went in the Hep C treatment, and I was on that for a year of hell,
Yeah.
Like, I lost weight, I couldn't sleep. I don't know if you guys ever did the old treatment,
No.
I couldn't sleep. I could barely work. It's like I was tired. It would just suck the life out of you, that interferon and stuff, right? So I remember I was with a couple of friends, Claude and this other guy, at a Starbucks, and we were talking. I was kind of right in the middle of my Hep C treatment, and I was looking pretty haggard, because I was still working every day, but it was rough. And I was telling them that, like, the last kid moved out, like, I'm going to tell Desiree that she has to move, like, I want a divorce,
Yeah.
And Claude tells me, dude, look at you. Like, you can't even fucking get up in the morning. What makes you think, like, you have the energy to go through a divorce and all that stuff right now? He goes, just wait, do the treatment and then revisit it. Right?
Yeah.
So, good advice, again,
Yeah.
from someone, that's been in the program longer than me. And so I did. So I got off the Hep C treatment. Now, the Hep C treatment, I don't know, the old way, the interferon, it always exacerbated a pre-existing condition. Bumper went through it, and he got really sick and never pulled out of it, and I could name other guys that had a little problem before and was turned into a big problem after. Well, mine was kidney stones. It was in the 8 months following me getting off the treatment, I had 3 kidney stone operations in 8 months, right?
That's brutal.
So nothing happened with me and the wife during that time, because, And so then after the last one, I said, I was getting ready to...
last run of treatment?
After the 3rd kidney stone.
Yeah.
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 Operation. I was getting ready to tell her I want a divorce, and you got to move out, and I'll help you with... Because I was making good money with my company, you know what I mean? I'll help you get a place, and I'll help you pay it until you, And 2 weeks later, she OD'd and died. I came home from a meeting and was yelling the name, and, I went in the bathroom and I couldn't open the door. I had to kind of push the door open, and she was behind the door on the floor. And I've seen dead people before, I knew that. I still tried CPR and stuff, when I was calling 911, but she was... And what was strange about that? Like, I don't know if either one of you guys were heroin addicts, but about, like, when somebody ODs, one of the things you do is put them in a cold shower, right? so she must have known she was going out because she had 2 feet in the tub, and the
Oh,
rest
wow.
of her was, on the floor outside.
Ugh.
So I think she tried to make it to the shower. So, my kids.
So you came home and found your wife dead.
Yes. My kids were devastated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, they loved their mom. They didn't care if she used drugs or not. That was their mom, and they always loved her.
So this was 2009?
9, yes.
Was that part of the resentment against her? Is that she died? Did you have a resentment about that?
I didn't. You know what I felt was relief, Kevin.
She's at peace
No, relief.
for
me.
you?
I don't know how that sounds, selfish or whatever, but you got to understand, I went through 20 years of this,
I get it.
Yeah. And so it was, I felt relief. And I prayed for her like all the time. I would try. I had drug treatment. I had treatment centers ready to accept her. I tried, and she wouldn't do it. I would have ladies from the program call her and come and pick her up for meetings. She did that like twice, and the other time she would say, "No, I can't go. I'm busy," whatever,
Yeah.
And
Plenty of opportunity for
I tried,
know
yeah, and I tried everything I could, and it didn't look like it was going to change. And her mom was an addict also, and she was using with her mom,
That's
and
brutal.
so I felt relief, and what's not so strange about that is one of the ladies in the program that you and I know very well, her husband was using at the time, and when we had a big celebration of life thing for Desiree,
Yeah.
a bunch of people came, and she came up to me and said, "I'm envious of you because like my troubles were over with, and she was still dealing with
A partner getting
a using
loaded.
spouse,
Yeah. That's harsh.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's harsh that she has to go through that.
Yeah.
And
And she's a very honest lady.
Yeah.
She says her son of mine. When we had the celebration, when we had like the memorial for her, it was like standing room only in the Chapel of Flowers. And I know for a fact that at least half of those people never even knew Desiree, but they came because
they were
knew
there
me
you.
in the program.
Yeah.
And I don't know what else someone would need to be grateful,
So that's a resentment. Do you have any resentments today?
Well, it took me a while to get over that, because I went from that. My wife passed away to about 6 months later, hooking up with this girl who was supposed to be in the program, and who also supposedly had 20 years clean, and so I hooked up with her, and it was kind of cool at first, but she was never like big on meetings or sponsor or steps, and so that lasted for like 9 years or something, right? And I remember we were fighting a lot. Like I'm not a arguer. I don't like to argue. You know what I mean?
Non-confrontational?
No, and that's because I have a red hot temper that showed up when I was using and stuff. In fact, it served me well, but being clean, it didn't. So I worked on that a lot, like not letting my anger come out, And so I still didn't with her, but she wanted to argue all the time. I would just get up and walk outside. Anyway, after about 8 years, we were in Hawaii, and we were at this restaurant, and and I went to the bathroom and ordered drinks or something. And I came back. I forget, I had a 7-Up or something. And like, having been clean for 25 years or more at that point, I could smell alcohol a mile away.
Yeah.
Right. So I thought, I go, what's in that drink? I go, what is that drink? She goes, oh, it's some Hawaiian name. And I go, does it have alcohol in it? And she goes, yeah, but just a little bit. Like, nobody's going to know. And I was like, what the fuck? You know?
Did you suspect anything this whole time?
No, I didn't. And I don't even know if I don't know. No, I never suspected. And then it happened again a couple months later when we were out to dinner. So I told myself, like, that's it. Like,
You already went through that.
yeah, exactly. Like, that's it. Start strategizing your exit plan, you know. So the thing about that was, it took me almost 2 years to finally
After
leave.
that?
After that, because she owned a nice little mobile home in San Jose that, you know, is $1,000 a month. Like, where else am I going to live in San Jose for $1,000 a month? And I could run my business out of there. It had a big shed and stuff, you know what I mean? So it took me almost that long to figure out, like, what I'm going to do, where I'm going to go.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
That's a long time to stay in that
Yeah.
toxic environment.
Yeah, yeah, and I just it became the same thing over again, like almost like separate lives and stuff. She didn't go to meetings. In fact, she would like get a little upset or if I went to meetings, you know, but I didn't care. I went anyway, you know.
I could see where that resentment would show up.
Yeah.
Any of them besides that?
Well, I don't really think so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's stuff that, there's like a system that I'm mad at.
Yeah, join the club. So basically, that was like the last major resentment.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely.
That you've worked through.
Because life has been pretty good since then. I bought that house in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to move there, but I had that house for like 5 or 6 years before I was going to move there. And I'd go back there, especially when she got on my nose too much. I'd go back there for a month and work on my house and play golf and, you know.
Yeah.
And it was...
All right. So fears, resentments. What about reservations? Tell us about a reservation you had when you first got clean.
Well, I tell you, one of my, I don't know what category it falls in, really messed me up. So when I was in high school, I told you my dad was really big on sports and education. Yeah. I was a straight A student, right? I was on the National Honor Roll and stuff. I was also a state champion wrestler. I went to state champions 3 years in a row. And in my junior year, my dad and I signed consent for a full scholarship at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo.
Uh-huh.
So my dad was just glowing because this is what he groomed us to be successful. You know what I mean? Like this was starting to pay off for him, you know. And that summer between my junior and senior year, my girlfriend, who I really was just a girlfriend. I mean, I liked her, but I didn't love her.
Right.
Got pregnant, right? And, you know, my dad always taught us to do the right thing, you know. So I went to him and I told him, Dad, you know, like, Diane's pregnant and, like, I don't know what to do. And he goes, I think you know what you got to do. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have to marry her and give that kid a father, you know. So I did. We got married. I was 17 years old. she was 19. And the marriage lasted about a year, and she left. She was cheating on me. I didn't know I was working a lot.
Well, you guys are teenagers.
Yeah.
This is right, lines up right when the draft happened then, huh?
Right before.
Yeah.
So in fact, I was up for the draft, but I was like 3A or something like that, which means I was healthy enough to do it, but I had a wife and a kid, so I would only get drafted if there was a major, like, invasion or something, right? So we got divorced, right? Only lasted about a year. And I still to this day do not know how the government does this without like all the technology we have today. But within 3 months, they cross-reference me being divorced, and
Changed your status.
I was 1A, and within another month I was drafted, you know. I
Wow.
was like, how'd they figure that out so quick, you know what I mean?
Because they needed you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where's that lead us to a reservation?
I don't know if I would.
You know, like when you first get clean, like if this happens, I'm going to get loaded, or, you know, my mom passes away, or my dad passes away, or.
Well, you know what? I don't know if this actually falls under reservation per se, but
Some people didn't really have any.
Reservations.
Yeah, I don't recall any reservations ever. There was never a time where I was like, man, if this happens, I'm getting loaded. If this happens, I'm getting loaded. Anything could be a reason to get loaded. I never really held on to
actually
anything.
that never happened to me either. But
Yeah.
when my wife left, she took my son, right? And like I had learned the values from my father of a kid having a dad, and she took him, and not only she took him, but she changed his name illegally and moved out of the area, and I couldn't find her. I even hired a private investigator. You know, couldn't find her. So that I went into a downward spiral after that, and it was right before I got drafted. You know, so I think when I got, and I'd never used up to that point, drank or anything, and I think that downward spiral and then getting drafted, and you know, then I started drinking my sorrows away at the EM club in the Marine Corps. You know, so that threw me for a loop for a long time, and I never did for 25 years find my son. I finally did.
Oh, yeah? So you guys got to connect?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, he moved down eventually, like moved in with me and went to work for my company, and he's still in San Jose, and he's doing good. He's a
That's pretty cool.
big long haul, whatever, drives big semis, you know.
This is like a, not entirely your story, but Jen and I like got clean with, with this girl back in the day, and we all hung out together for many years, and then at one time she decided to look up her birth father. I'm telling that story, and this is how I got to know Kerry. Is that our friend looked up birth father and like met him and got to know him first few times, and comes to find out her birth father was in the program and happens to be going to meetings in San Jose, and we're going to meetings in the peninsula, like 15 minutes away from each other. And this whole time she didn't know that you were there, and we got introduced to you.
So that happened with my first two kids.
Really?
You know what I mean? Well, my oldest son, she hid him away for almost 25 years. And my oldest daughter, that you were just talking about, looked me up. Well, okay, she was conceived her mom and I were never like boyfriend girlfriend. She was a girl from around the block,
Yeah.
and Gretchen was born when I was in the Marine Corps. When I come home on leave, her mom and I would get together, and she ended up getting pregnant, and she let me know, and her mom wouldn't let her keep the kids, so I had to sign an adoption paper, So the baby, my daughter, got adopted away, and I knew her birthday. Every single year I would go, oh man, it's my
Wow.
little girl's birthday, and whenever I thought that, I thought like she's probably living like in Wyoming or something
yeah.
like that, And then when she did finally look me up and called me, she's been living in Mountain View this whole time, like right next to me,
Yeah.
And so we agreed to meet up at a neutral site, and I think Jen was
With her.
her spotter,
Yeah.
set in the back.
She's a spotter.
Yeah. and I walked up. Gretchen was sitting outside, and I walked up and I said, "You must be Gretchen. I'm Kerry." And she looked at me like her adopted parents were both blonde hair, blue eyes, And the first thing she said to me is, "Oh my God, I finally look like somebody."
Oh, wow.
And that just like
That's heavy.
broke my heart.
I remember the day that that happened. I wasn't there, but I remember Jen leaving that day to go with your daughter to go meet you for the first
Yeah.
time. And then it just, not too long after that, we met and that whole thing got connected. It was
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
And my daughter and I mean, from that day on, we've been so close. I love her so much.
Yeah.
She's the star of the family. She's,
Yeah.
That's I kid her and tell her that,
Her and her daughter, they're
Yes.
part of our family.
Yeah.
All right, so no reservations, right? Not that you can really think of.
No.
Okay.
No.
Yes,
I
like
mean,
Josh
I never
said,
thought
some people
like
don't.
if my wife dies, I'm going to get. My dad died when I was in the covers. Very, very close to my dad. No, I didn't. I never thought that.
Yeah.
And even when he died, I never thought it. So, I don't know. No.
Yeah. Besides, it was a long time ago.
There's a bunch of people I know that don't have reservations.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's normal.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. All right, so what about shame and guilt? Did you have shame and guilt growing up that you could like connect to why you got loaded? Looking back and doing steps, can you look back and go, oh, like this contributed to the reason I was getting loaded?
I honestly don't think so. I don't think I had shame and guilt as a kid.
Yeah.
I had an all-American childhood.
Sounds like it.
But when I got clean, and even during my using, when we started having kids, like I was so shameful of the way those kids got neglected, And I remember I was talking to one of the CPS ladies, and I told her that, well, I never hit my kids, I never, And she said, inattention to your kids is a form of neglect.
Right.
And I never looked at it that way, But I do remember while I was using, like feeling bad for the kids, but they were like, I hate to say it, but they were like fleeting thoughts. You know what I mean? Like,
You were getting loaded, though.
I was getting loaded.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So, but after I got clean, that's when the shame and guilt, like, for what I had done, mostly to those kids, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was a very violent guy, and I physically hurt a lot of people in my using. I felt bad about that. But mostly it was my kids, like a lot of shame and guilt. And it took quite some time to, I feel like I'm over it nowadays because I see them and they're all successful and they all love me.
Yeah.
And there's no resentments on their part. And of course, they were too small to really remember how they got treated, you know. But so not so much nowadays, but a lot, you know. And I had to work through that, and it didn't do it the first round of steps, and
Yeah.
it didn't do it the second round of steps, and you know, it did.
Yeah, like we said, to the best of our ability.
Yeah.
So shame and guilt really only showed up like after you got clean then.
I think so.
All right.
I think so, and a smidgen of it while I was using fleetingly.
Yeah, I know we talked about fears, but like any of that stuff, the resentment, fear, reservations, any of that stuff affect your relationships looking back? Like, I mean, I could, you know, I know some of your relationships, like fear of them getting loaded again.
Yeah, well, definitely with my wife that passed away, like there was, and, you know, I'm not gonna lie, there was a few times where I thought, you know what, I might as well just get loaded too. I've been clean for a few years. I'm not gonna go on runs like I used to. You know what I mean? Maybe that's the reservation.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it could have been.
I could control it now. You know, I'm working, so I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna miss work, and I've learned some things on a program. Where, you know, those were again more fleeting than brooding on it. You know, but there was some fears there. I mean, when you're living with a using addict, there's got to be fears around. If not for you, just for her, you know. And ultimately, the worst thing happened to her, you know.
Right.
Like my biggest fear for her actually happened, you know.
This topic has been in my head since the topic of living with somebody using has come up in discussion. My dad, we just moved my dad in with us, and he hasn't drank in a couple months, about 2 months, but it was a really bad problem. But there's been a lot of deterrence that we set in place, like he's lost a bunch of bank cards, and so like I've been I'm not sure what the right word would be, but holding on to his ID and his bank card so that it doesn't get lost, and two, because I'm worried about him trying to figure out a way to get alcohol. So I'm trying to control that. And then and he also hadn't been driving for years because he was drinking so much that he wasn't able to do so, and then also had a stroke at some point. And so just recently, like going through all the motions of like getting him in physical therapy and getting his health back up, he drove for the first time the other day, and he now has his bank card and his ID, and I've been fucking worried about it.
Oh, jeez. I didn't know that.
I've been worried about it since then. It's been like 2 or 3 days, and I'm sitting here thinking like I'm going to go home and say he's going to be like, I think he's drunk. And last night he was talking to me, and I think he's just starting to do better, so he's more talkative. But as he's talking to me, I'm like, did he get alcohol?
Is he buzzed?
Yeah, does he hide some alcohol in his room? And I'm like, man, I don't not like how this fucking feels, but I don't have any control over it. I can't hold on to his shit forever, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, sidebar, it's tough. I say that to say living with somebody that's drinking, because my fear is like, I don't want to go through that. I don't want to feel that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be around that.
When he drove, was he by himself driving?
He has driven one time, yeah. He has his license. Yeah, he has his license. He's been to the doctor and been approved by eye doctor and all this. He took the test and did all the stuff. But yeah, he drove himself. I rode with him the first day. He's like, I got to start being able to drive again. So we went, like we live in a gated community, and so we just stayed in the gated community. And then a couple days later, he went in on like a spur of the moment chiropractor visit. Like he's like, my back is fucked, and he went to the chiropractor, and then came back from the chiropractor, and he drove there by himself and came back by himself. excuse me, which is just right outside the gate of the community. It's literally like right across the street. But yeah, he's driving a little bit by himself. Yeah.
So you have that fear present day.
Yeah.
That's a hard.
It's not
one
a good
to live
feeling.
with.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine going through that for that long.
Twice.
Yeah.
You did it twice.
Oh.
Right? So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. So we just finishing up. We did fears, resentments, and reservations.
Shame and guilt.
And shame and guilt. We'll move on from there. All right, we're back, and
We just finished up shame and guilt.
Shame and guilt, right? And so there's a question here. What consequences from past wrongdoings are you living with today? I got that question off some random worksheets. Like a lot of people go, I got a felony on my record. I can't get this federal job or whatever, or Hep C I talked about already. Anything else?
Well, I mean, definitely the Hep C has shown up in a different form with some liver problems over the last couple of years. And I felt a little like cheated, you know what I mean? Because there are other guys who, just like me, got rid of the Hep C and had cirrhosis, and like nothing ever after that happened to them. And I've been having problems with,
Yeah.
liver cancer and stuff. But there's a chance that, I don't know if you guys have heard about that Camp Lejeune water problem.
Yeah. Yeah, the lawsuit.
The poison water. Yeah, I was stationed there for 10 months, drinking the stuff, showering in it, and everything. And one of the things that it causes is liver cancer. So I guess I was prone to it anyway, and then with the cirrhosis and the
Wow.
Hep C and everything, it kind of reared its ugly head in the last couple of years,
And that's like way back in your teenage years too.
Oh yeah, this was 50 years ago.
Dang.
So
yeah, you probably had symptoms of that your whole life, or aftermath of that. So.
Yeah, and but as far as consequences, other than going to prison a bunch of times as a consequence of my using, I went and one of the reasons, like, I wanted to get a good painting job. I wanted to be a painter because I was really good at it, and I wanted to do that for the rest of my life. And I was working for the first 5 years of my recovery. I was working for these contractors who were like shysters. You know what I mean?
Oh, really?
Like I had worked for them when I was using, because I was painting then, and I didn't care. But now all of a sudden I'm clean, and they're cheating people. They're doing work that they said they didn't, or they're cutting corners. One place was so bad that I just walked off the job. And a couple other places I got in an argument with, a small argument, not like a fight or anything, with the boss, and told him, I can't do this, man. I can't. Like, he goes, well, go ahead and do it, the way you're supposed to. So that I wanted to quit that. I didn't know I wanted to open my own company yet. I was thinking, like, I'll get a job at the state painting for the county.
Yeah.
Or something, right? And I'll be fixed. But I got this rap sheet that's about 6 pages long, right? So I didn't even try, and then I opened. I got my contractor's license, and I was painting for 20-something years. And my daughter Gretchen and I were at a San Mateo veterans event.
Okay.
Where they had all kinds of help you find a job, help you find rehab, help you find a home.
Gotcha.
For home. So there was one like tent where they help you with your record, And I never had to worry about that because I was self-employed,
Yeah.
nobody cared about my records except me, and nobody even knew about it, right? So she goes, why don't you go talk? So I went and talked to them, and they said, yeah, we can expunge your record, right? And I go, yeah, what the heck, let's do it, So I went and I talked to a lawyer at Palo Alto Legal Clinic and told him my whole using story. It was like 3 hours I talked to this guy, right?
It's a long time.
Yeah, they're really nice people too, really smart, sharp lawyers. And then we went to Palo Alto Superior Court to get my record expunged, and I had like 28 years clean or something at the time.
Yeah.
And the clerk comes over to my lawyer and says, the judge wants to talk to you and Mr. Kelly in her chambers. And he looks at me and he goes, I don't know what this means. Like, this never happened before. And so I'm thinking, of course.
Of course.
Of course it's going
happens
to
to
freaking
you.
happen to me. Yeah, She probably, like, dug up a old crime that I'm going to,
Yeah.
So we go back in there, and she started out by saying, I want to apologize, Mr. Kelly. Like, your record, everything I see on your record, you probably wouldn't even get arrested for it today.
Mm-hmm.
But the very most, you might get cited, And because I didn't have any sex or violence, on my record.
Yeah.
It was all drug related.
Drug related.
And she goes, it was just like the wrong time that you were doing these things that, we were filling up prisons or whatever. And I just want to apologize because I can't wait to go into court and expunge your record.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So
wow, that's
that was
pretty.
Yeah, really good. It felt
great experience.
Felt almost as good as the day I got my kids back. Because it was recognition of me doing something right.
Yeah. So that was a good consequence.
Yes.
Of getting clean.
Yes, but I led into that with I never really, since I was self-employed, I didn't have to worry about anybody looking at my record.
Mm-hmm.
As long as I was staying clean and self-employed.
You got your painting contractor's license, though. Did they look at your record then?
They did a life scan,
Uh-huh.
but in those days when I got it, they didn't care. I don't even think they looked. What I
Really?
mean? No. Nowadays, if you have to be 7 years removed from your last felony, and you have to be off parole or probation, and yeah, they're a lot stricter. But
You went through that.
Yeah, it was a
right?
process. Yeah, I had to get letters of recommendation from parole and character reference letters and employment reference letters, and I met with had an interview with the board at Contractor State License Board, who's ever in charge of that, and they ended up giving me a probationary license to start off, which is functional in the same way as a formal one, but with zero tolerance on any kind of discrepancies and
Yeah, you
owning
can't.
a business.
You can't screw
I
up.
can't fuck up at all. Yeah, or they'll revoke it. So I just last year rolled over into the formal version of it. The
Oh, really?
probationary period's over. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, but it was a hassle. It took me a year and a half to get the license.
so see, not a single one of those things you said did I have to do.
Yeah.
I just went and applied for my license. I went and took the test, and they gave me my license.
It's a little different today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? In 30 years of owning my company, I had one complaint to the contractors board.
Wow.
And the mediator came out and found in my favor.
Uh-huh.
Like, this guy was just he was off
He's
the
an
rails.
ass.
The guy that complained. So he found in my favor, so it was stricken from my.
That's great.
So, and I taught my boys that, you know what I mean? And they still do that today, you know what I mean? Go above and beyond for customers, Customers always right type thing, go above and beyond.
Yeah.
If you got to move furniture, the old people move it, you know what I mean? Like it's not in the contract, but we do it,
Yeah, I mean, it's good policy.
There's another thing that I never, even to this day, I probably could now, I've never worn any recovery-related clothes or stickers on my car or hats or anything because I was running a business and, I had these customers, I mean, there would be people in Saratoga that would give me the keys to their $5 million house and say, we'll be back in a week, And like, if they knew, like,
if they figured it out somehow because of the stuff that you wore or the sticker on your truck.
That I was an addict, it just would. Anyway, so I still don't to this day, so.
As I'm sitting here with an NA tank top on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in a different boat than you. Well, you're retired now, yeah, so it wouldn't matter. But also your past and everything that you've gone through, you don't have any hang-ups today, so you're not living with any consequences today.
No.
Yeah.
I don't
well, that's
feel like
good.
it at all. No.
Yeah, cool. Next question. How are you showing your gratitude for your recovery? What's gratitude look like for you?
So my biggest thing I could do to show my gratitude is to be in service to Narcotics Anonymous. Because one, I know how important it is. And, my first sponsor drummed that into me. And I've had numerous, just like you, I've had numerous, from convention level all the way down to, GSRs.
Service positions.
That's probably the best way I can do it, but the other way is I can have sponsees that perpetuate what we've learned together as being sponsor-sponsee. And they could go on and sponsor people and hopefully pass that on. I know that a couple of them already are, doing that. And just, I haven't ever forgotten what it was like they say where I come from, I haven't ever forgot that, And just because I'm older now doesn't mean that, it couldn't happen. I'm not on guard against it anymore. You know what I mean? I don't think about it.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful that I don't have to live that life anymore. And my gratitude extends to the whole of Narcotics Anonymous because they taught me how to live.
Yeah. I know you're really good with reaching out to the newcomer.
I like that.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot from newcomers, and people look at me kind of crazy when I say that. But
an example.
So one guy, I kind of took him under my wing a little bit, and he was a newcomer, and he kind of had a story a little bit similar to mine. Like he was him and his wife were using, and he didn't want to use anymore, but she did still, and finally it got to the point where he left her, just so he could get clean.
Yeah.
And I thought that's huge. I mean, that's so huge. I mean, that's determination,
Yeah, no kidding. That's a hard one to do. I had to do it.
Yeah. And just that kind of stuff. And now, my main service commitment is I'm coordinator of the newcomer workshop in San Jose. So I assign all the people to our workshops, and I still do them. I like to do them myself.
Yeah.
I still do at least one a month myself.
How often do you guys have the workshops?
3 times a month.
Wow.
We used to do it 5, but one recovery house shut down, and they had 2 facilities that we were servicing. So we lost those, and we're looking for a couple more.
So what does the workshop entail? Like you go into recovery houses?
Yes.
Oh,
well,
okay.
both.
Is it part of H&I?
No.
Okay. It's its own
part
thing.
It's part of PR.
PR. Got it. Okay.
So we have a site that twice a month we have a fixed meeting, the first and the third Thursday. And then we have one off-site that we do. That one's actually my favorite one. It's at a women's facility where it's young mothers who have small kids and stuff, you know. And they're so grateful to have us there, for one thing, and they're so attentive and participatory, you know.
They want it.
Yeah, more so than like our workshop at our fixed location, where people just come in and they want to get something signed, and they sit there and don't say a word during the whole thing, which is fine too. They're there, you know. I'm just grateful they're there.
What kind of structure does the workshop have? Is it like an introduction to what recovery could look like if you want to give it a try?
Exactly.
Got it.
It's an introduction to NA.
Yeah.
You know, and we'll touch on like the 5 things. You know,
Yeah.
Meetings, steps, sponsors, service, higher power. We'll touch on all of those, you know, and we encourage questions at any time. So like it's the only meeting where you could crosstalk, like, you know.
Yeah.
You know, raise your hand and we'll answer your question.
I like to do that if I'm chairing at a facility of some sort. If I'm sharing there, I'm like at any time you have a question, ask.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
make sure that it's open.
Yeah.
For
it's not like a regular meeting where one person speaks at a time. You know what I mean? We encourage them to stop
had,
us and ask a question. You know?
We had newcomer workshops in San Mateo too.
Do they?
They did,
Oh.
at least. I was part of that at one point, newcomer workshop. Yeah, and
Okay.
we just like ask questions and stuff.
So my gratitude stems from that, where I'll see somebody at the workshop, and then the next week I'll see them at a meeting.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it's all about.
Makes you feel good to see.
big, yeah.
That's what it's all about.
That's
for
amazing.
me. You know what I mean? That completes me. You know.
Yeah.
So-
Well, that's good.
I wasn't even there and I can feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
I sometimes I'm at meetings today and I look around the room and I see like 2 or so people that I watch them come into their very first meeting, like the year before, and now they have a service position there, and it's like how fucking good that makes me feel to witness that it works. This program works. Like this kid came in when he's like 25 years old, and he's got 2 years clean now, and he's service position and secretary, and I just think that's a killer.
I like
love
seeing
seeing
young
that.
people come into the program today.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much when I first got clean. It was older guys in their 30s like me, you know what I mean, that hung on way too long, you know,
Yeah.
past our time, you know.
You made it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What assets do you have that helps you be of service to others?
Well, I like to feel without sounding like,
No, this is okay because we're talking about assets.
yeah, well, I mean, without like toot my own horn or something. I like to think that I have learned a lot in NA, and I have, right? I always had this, even when I was in high school, I wanted to go to college and I wanted to be a teacher. right?
Really?
So I kind of always had that teaching desire or something, you know? And I got to do it with my kids, you know what I mean?
You taught them how to paint.
Well, and I taught them how to grow up too, and how to act like men, and you know, and I taught them how to paint. And so, if I apply some of that to like newcomers, in a common language that they're going to understand because they're newcomers, you know. Just a little aside is, you know, some of the people in the newcomer workshop, like I've recruited, since I've been coordinator, I've recruited quite a few. Like they were getting kind of stale and not that many people. I recruited quite a few. But, and I have to caution them, like, don't talk about yourself so much. You know, I'll critique them after the workshop, you know. Like this isn't about you. You know, it's okay to give like a small example. Like, yeah, my sponsor had me work, you know, the 4-step for 2 months, or, you know, whatever. But if I can do that for newcomers, you know what I mean? Like, I want to teach them. I want to teach somebody. And I can't teach my kids anymore. You know what I mean?
So you want to be a teacher inside the rooms?
Yeah, you know, which is a perfect service commitment for me.
That's a great goal.
Yeah.
So the asset would be leadership. It would be
being of service to others. Mentorship.
Mentorship.
Yeah. Exactly.
An example.
Uh huh. You know? Yeah, be a good example.
I'm always conscious of. I want to be a good example for. You know.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Any other assets?
Well, you know what? This is going to sound a little funny because it's a personal thing, you know. When I was young, I was very promiscuous, right? And even during those 12 or 13 years that my wife and I were married and we were using, I was promiscuous, right? And I told myself, well, after I got clean, I told myself, like, I'm not doing this no more.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it just isn't going to fit into my program that I'm trying to do. So that 20 years that she was using and I was clean, like I was never with another woman.
Faithful.
Yeah, you know, and I probably had a couple of, you know, opportunities, but I didn't, you know. And, you know, even today, I mean, I would never do it, but I think that being faithful is an asset, you know.
Hell yeah.
For sure, yeah. Loyalty.
But,
Loyalty, yeah.
But it's one that I had to learn. It didn't come inherently.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I had to learn through being clean, you know what I mean, that's not going to work in my program anymore. And you know what? This is terrible, but so there's a couple guys, there has been a couple guys, I'm not saying right now, in the program that I knew were married and were messing around with another
outside the relationship,
Yeah, you know, and I just really disliked them for it, you know, like I put myself above them, you know what I mean?
I don't know if that I would say that because I've been in that same situation and seen it happen, and I believe that your moral compass kicked in right then, and it's not that you're above them. It's just that that's not something that you would participate.
I'll tell you what it led to, though. So these guys, like, I didn't like them. I didn't want to hang out with them or anything, you know. But then I noticed, like, I'd be, like, in the same meeting with them, and I'd be, like, kind of hating on them. Well, and they're listening to the message. And instead of listening to the message, I'm the only one that's missing out.
Yeah.
They don't know that I'm hating on them. So I'm sitting there hating on them, and I'm missing the message, you know. So I finally realized. I talked to my sponsor about it, and he says, "It's like, you know, there's nothing you can do about that, man. Like, you need to accept people where they're at. Because not everybody's in the same place, and you need to love them where they're at. You know what I mean? So I want you to pray for these guys, and I want you to stop that hating on them and stuff, you know. And I want you to actually talk to them. You don't have to be their best friend or anything, but so I did all that, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
It kind of cured me of that, or whatever you want to say.
No, I get
But
it.
and that was well into my recovery. It was like quite a few years. I was doing that kind of behavior for a while, and it just didn't jive with my program.
Yeah. Well, I learned that, something that you can do about it is set a good example.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So if you're sticking around in the same circle and they see you and know that you're dedicated to your wife or your relationship, you're setting a good example. So
And I definitely, when my wife was using, I was clean all those years, I definitely did not want my kids to have to find out that I was stepping outside the marriage.
set a good example.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And my boys don't do it nowadays, and my daughters don't.
Do you have other assets that you find that helps you out?
Other than just.
I mean, you're funny sometimes.
Well, I'm honest. You know what I mean? Like I pride myself on being honest. You know what I mean? Because I was dishonest for so long. I enjoy being honest. You know what I mean?
It feels good.
I'm hoping the cashier overpays me so I
you can give it back.
Okay, maybe not that far, but you know what I mean? Like, I am very, very comfortable in my own skin and the way I live my life today, and that wasn't true for a lot of years when I was using it. It was
Well, what a great feeling, though.
Yeah.
That we get to live that way.
Yeah.
Now.
I feel like.
So I hear content. I hear possibly safe, confident, honest. You mentioned loyalty, mentorship. Mm-hmm. It's a good list.
And each one of those things that you said, I've worked on individually over the years.
And you learned it in the program.
Yeah. I learned my failings, and I wanted to do something about them.
Got a lot of experience of what not to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And so I really, really wanted to change a whole lot of behavior. To be a person when I got a little older, like I am now, that was comfortable in their own skin and didn't have a lot to worry about. I could just live my life for my kids and grandkids, and
Yeah. Well, at least you get to be that mentor for people inside and outside the rooms.
I love that part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about like people coming to the rooms and looking at you and going, "Oh, there's an OG"?
I don't mind.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
I mean, you
at
put
all.
the time in.
Yeah, I don't mind at all. I did the same thing. You know what I mean? Like I was a little bit in awe of these guys. When I came into the room, it's like if you had 10 years clean, you were a demigod.
Oh yeah. Big time.
It was you too. So.
You guys have pretty much the same amount of clean time, right? A couple years.
Couple years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but when we got clean, I think like
5 to 10 years was rare.
9 years, dude. That's like Bob Berg, and there's a couple other guys. He passed away, but those people were the dinosaurs. I remember when I got clean, going to meetings, and I'd see like George at meetings, and then next thing I know, I'm watching a movie, like on TV, and it's like a prison movie, and he's in the background as an extra. You remember?
Yeah.
I was like, "Hey, I know that guy.
Yeah.
I saw him last night at a meeting." It was crazy, but those were heavy hitters.
And those are the kind of things that make you think, this guy was just like me, or maybe even worse. And look at him today.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he's there because he's clean.
That's what kept me early on. I'm like, some of these guys have been where I've been, and they're happy. And they got their wife with them, and they drove here in a company vehicle, and their kids are running around the meeting, and everybody wants to talk to them and hug them afterwards.
Yeah.
And they're okay with getting hugs. And like life looks like kind of like what it's supposed to look like, or what it could look like. And
that was attractive.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know how the fuck they did it, but I'm like, well, if I know for just by how that person talks and the things that they say, I know they've been through some of the shit that I've been through.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's possible. I don't know how the fuck it's gonna happen, but maybe. I remember that feeling too.
Yep. Yeah, there was a guy when I was new. His name was Graham. And he wasn't anything like me or came from none of the places that I came from. He was a friggin' tennis pro. And at the time, he was like a teacher, a tennis instructor, right? And so he had like a convertible Porsche. He would wear like these little shorts and the Izod shirt, you know, total preppy. But he would pull up.
Did he wear a sweatband?
He might have. Yeah, with his tennis shoes. But he would pull up in his convertible Porsche and park in front of the meeting, right? And they'd leave his tennis rack in the back seat and the top down and everything. And he'd get up and go in. And like, I'm like, what a square, you know? But he'd walk in the door and all these bikers would come up to him. Hey, Graham, give him a hug. How are you? You know, and just treated him with such respect. I'm like, what the fuck's this guy's deal? And just to find out, he was just like, had some years clean and treated people nice and was a good dude.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything special. He was just clean.
Yeah.
It was attractive.
And it does count how you treat people that come into the program. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to remember you. They're going to remember your name.
Yeah.
Because you came up and talked to them after the first or second meeting, you know. And
yeah.
They're going to remember that.
Well, I've always remembered that guy.
And I know both of you guys have been through, have had this happen to them. Where I chaired a meeting, regular meeting, you know. A couple of months later, this guy comes up to me and goes, hey, man, I was at that so-and-so meeting that you chaired. And I had to think for a minute. I'm like, oh, yeah. He goes, you said some things that really, like, hit home with me, that made me want. And I was thinking, I didn't say anything special. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to him, I guess I did, you know.
He was at the right place at the right time.
Yeah,
the
for
right
him,
thing.
You know.
Yeah.
I was just up there doing my regular spiel. You know?
Right. That's kind of what I was talking about. It's like just the byproduct of being a decent human being inside the rooms. You know, you never know whose life you're going to save.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
That's crazy.
What is it? Attraction other than promotion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just being an example by proxy, like you're an example by default because you're just trying to be what we get to learn to be here.
Yeah.
Or in a meeting anyway, in Narcotics Anonymous, yeah.
That's true. You mentioned something that
it makes me uncomfortable.
Oh.
It still makes me uncomfortable when someone's like, hey man, I heard that one thing, and I'm like, I don't know you, dude. Like in my head, I'm like, we do not know each other, you know, or the thing at a meeting or whatever. Just can feel weird, you know.
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to be that. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to be decent.
You know what?
That's what I'm saying. A byproduct. You probably saved something.
That was the realness and humility of that. Is what you just said you were trying to do. That guy picked up on.
Yeah.
You know?
Probably. Yeah.
That's true.
Authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah. You talked about something about like passing down what we've learned to others. And it made me think about, and I've talked about this before, but made me think about, like Steve sponsored me for many, many years. And so I've had a lot of his teachings and that history. And so I would always share it with sponsees, what he taught me. And then I was up here, a couple years, and I picked up some sponsees. And then, not too long ago, this complete stranger that I've never met before is repeating what Steve taught me, word for word. And it's because I sponsored, Josh or Kyle or somebody, and their sponsee got the same teachings from them that Steve taught me. And then they're speaking about it at a meeting. and then go, hey, yeah, you're my great grand sponsor or something like that. And I'm like, I could kind of tell you were there somewhere because that's what my sponsor taught
Isn't
me.
that cool?
It's
how that
fucking
stuff is-
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah, there's a
that stuff
2 foot
is
drop
passed
meeting and
down.
there's a 2 foot drop fellowship in Grass Valley.
Yeah, that was funny. That was in this our sponsorship family from many years ago. Was just that 2 foot drop, from your head to your heart, that whole process thing. And so I was teaching that to sponsees up here when I moved up here, and they never heard it before. Nobody ever talked about 2 foot drop when I got here. And the next thing you know, they're naming a meeting after the 2 foot drop. Yeah, up in Grass Valley. So I was like, fuck yeah, this works.
It's like
Pretty cool.
very, very many things around here just amaze me.
Yeah.
To this day, that it's almost hard to get my head around because it's spiritual.
The ripple effect, dude. Yeah, through spiritual. Yeah, spiritual means, and it's pretty crazy.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
I try not to think about it too much. I'm just like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
There's that thing doing that thing it does.
I love, like, it just makes me so good, makes me feel so good, like, when I hear something that Steve taught me, or even stuff like either Dan or Clark taught me too, or James. That's other sponsors that I've had. You hear it at a meeting. I go, oh yeah, that's, I said that one time to a sponsee, and now they took it to heart.
It's getting repeated.
Yeah, it's fucking amazing. So we're at a point where we ask you about what's that one crazy story that you had, or one or two, if you got a couple.
No, I got one. So after I got into recovery, and I was actually going to college for like the KDAC thing.
Oh, really? You're going to do that?
Yeah, I got my KDAC. I thought
No
I wanted
shit.
to be that counselor, and but at the same time, I started my business, and it took off, and I knew what they paid counselors at that time.
Yeah.
And my business, I could
They
make
still don't pay him shit.
10 times that much, and I had kids at home, so I went that direction.
Did you ever feel? I'm sorry. The sidebar.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel trapped by that? Like, now I'm fucked because I make this amount of money, and even if I wanted to do something, did it ever feel like now I'm here?
You
now
can't
I'm
give
just-
up that money?
No, I mean, I always looked at it as like what I learned through getting a KDAC is in my learning bank that I could
Gotcha.
that I could use and maybe pass on someday. But my business is my business, and I got kids, and I was making a lot of money, and
responsibilities.
yeah, and there
Gotcha.
was no regrets or nothing.
So no trap. Yeah, I'll get that.
Anyway, my point is, there was a lot of discussions between addicts and professionals, like, were you born an addict, or will you become an addict because you're the product of your environment, right? So I have a story that convinced me that I was born an addict.
Yeah.
So when I was 9 years old, I started sniffing gas right before school. And
At
I would-
9?
yeah. And I would hallucinate, because I'd lay down on the ground with my nose in the gas can, and like the straw on the ground or the grass, whatever, would jump up and become little figures. And I was hallucinating, right? And I go to school with a little buzz, which kind of turned into a little bit of headache after it was over. And my older brother said, he goes, you better stop that stuff. He was only 10. He goes, I'm going to tell Dad, I told him, fuck you, man. You tell him I couldn't beat the crap out of him, but, I told
Right.
him I'll sneak up on you and do something, So I was doing that for a few months, right? Sniffing gas, like almost
Every day?
every day. Yeah, pretty much every day before school.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How did you even find out about sniffing gas? Somebody taught you that?
I think I just got like a couple of whiffs from the lawnmower.
So all on your own?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, nobody taught me. I just got a couple, and I go, that smells pretty good, And so I.
All right. Sorry.
So
Carry
anyway,
on.
so
Yeah.
I told my brother, you better not fucking tell him me. I'll tell him whatever. So we're sitting at dinner, the three of us, me and my dad, my brother, one night, and my dad goes, "Hey, Kerry, does your food taste any different?" And I was like, "What?" Like, "No, it's good, Pop." You know. I go, "Why?" You know. And he goes, "Well, I went. Your brother told me about your little gas sniffing problem."
Oh God.
And I went to the doctor and I got some pills and I ground them up in your food. And he goes, I'm gonna keep grounding them up in your food until you stop sniffing gas, or until you're 18, you move out of the house, you know.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, you know. And I think I had a little bit of a look of like, I think you're bluffing, this type thing, right? So he goes, "Oh, you don't believe me? Come on." So he grabbed me and took me out to the garage.
Yeah.
And he gave me the gas can and he said, "Go ahead, take a big whiff." So I did, and it felt like somebody shot fire up my nose and down my throat, and I fell on the ground and I was crying.
Oh, you know shit.
Yeah, and so to this day I can't stand the smell of gas, you know. And so that ended that, right?
What was
That ended
it?
that. Well, I'll get to it. So
Okay.
it was 30 years later, I had about a couple years clean. My dad retired. He bought a little farm, and I was up visiting him. And it just hit me. I hadn't thought about it in 30 years. I go, "Hey, Pop." I go, "Remember when I was a kid in Muskogee and I was sniffing gas and you put that," I go, "What was that? What were those pills you put in my food, right?" And he started laughing, and I go, you know, I'm thinking, it's not really funny. Like, it made me cry, so, you know.
Yeah.
And he goes, "I didn't put pills in your food. I put ammonia in the gas can."
That's what I was thinking, something of that sort. Yeah.
And that was, yeah.
all it took.
That's hilarious.
All it took,
That was
you know.
smart.
So,
Yeah. I
pretty smart.
thought maybe he like didn't put pills in your food and you just had the placebo effect and you thought it
yeah.
was,
No, it's
yeah, that is smart.
almost killed me, that ammonia, man. Because I'm thinking like, oh, I get one last big whiff, so I took a big one. You know.
Oh, Jesus. That's crazy.
This is going to be my last one. I'm going out. You know.
And you can't stand the smell of gas.
Nah, I can't. To this day.
That's hilarious. Oh my God. Well, cool. Well, we appreciate it. I really appreciate you coming up, hanging out with us.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
This has been great, man. I mean,
Yeah.
the podcast is great. I love you, Kevin. You know, I have for years. I just met you, Joss. I'm really feeling good towards you. You know
Nice,
what I mean?
man. Thank
I can
you,
tell
Sam.
you're a good guy, and I'm so happy to do this because I've never even listened to a podcast before.
Well, it's because
Yeah.
you're 114 years old.
Yeah, and still haven't. You know.
Hey,
But-
hey, don't feel bad me saying shit, because that motherfucker over there, any chance he gets, he throws it in there. He goes
Oh.
like, "Oh yeah, but
Yeah,
you're
it's
you're
funny.
old."
It's
But
funny. You're 114, but he has more clean time than you. So
Yeah.
Shut up. Yeah, just say no.
It's
That-
been a pleasure.
Yeah.
It really, really has. This whole weekend has been a pleasure, and this
yeah,
kind
we-
of capped it off. Thank you.
We appreciate
Nice.
it. We appreciate it. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening.
love you guys.
Thank you for hanging out with us today. We really appreciate you being here and being part of this community. Just a quick heads up before we wrap. The people we talk to on this show are just sharing their own personal stories. They do not speak for any specific recovery program or group. It's just their experience, strength, and hope. Well, that's it for now, and please remember that you can follow us on any of your streaming platform that you listen to, and somewhere in there on that streaming platform there is a donate button if you care to help out with our monthly fees that we have to pay to produce each episode, and there's a follow button. There's also somewhere on your streaming platform you can text us and send us a response or email or check-in. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you.